And it's my privilege to say welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living at Red Deer for our morning meditation. And please, wherever you are, please take a breath or two and relax. Let your shoulders fall and let go of any tension you have been holding in your body. Simply breathe. And if you like to use a bit of a mantra with your breathing, I breathe as I breathe in, I relax as I hold it, and as I let the breath out, I am picturing or thinking, I am. So I breathe, I relax, I am. 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 I am. I am. And with the final I am, I let my whole body and mind and spirit become centered and still and open. I open myself to the divine influx, the divine outflow, for there is no separation. The inflow and the outflow, in truth, are a one thing, in perfect, in divine circulation. Within me, around me, through me, and as me. And I invite you, as I speak in the I am, in the first person, if these words resonate for you, embrace them and let them be your I am. Today, I am open to living my life more fully. I am open to the spirit of adventure and newness. I ask, what is it that I should do to be fully alive, awake, and aware? Is it a book I should read? A hike? An adventure of some kind? Is there someone I should call? Someone I should talk with? What is mine to do this day? It is not a day to fill. It's not a day to wait until it's done. It's a day to be alive, awake, and aware. And right now, I invite that to unfold within me. And I can do that every morning. Spirit, today I choose to be awake, alive, aware, open to the fullness of each minute, each hour of this precious day. The days of this lifetime are not to be filled with nothingness or merely the passing of time. This day is open to me to do and to be all that I can be, all that is mine to do. And I can choose to do it with eagerness, being truly alive, being truly awake, being truly aware. Whether I am 10 years old or 90 years old, the day is mine to fully live. I'll take a couple minutes of silent contemplation of what that means to be fully alive, awake, aware. And my contemplation has brought me to a place of knowing that my practice today of being fully alive, awake, and aware is to make phone calls, to be in touch with my brother, with my sister, with a couple friends, to be open to what they have to say, to tell me, to accept how they are feeling, to affirm that who they are and where they are in their lives is just right, that they are whole spiritual beings, walking their spiritual path to the best of their ability, and to know that they are enough. Each one is enough exactly as they are. Which brings me to myself. It's easy to tell someone else that they are enough exactly as they are. it is a little harder to say to myself, self, you are whole, complete, and perfect. You are enough. Who you are is enough. What you do is enough. Self, I value you and appreciate you exactly as you are. And as I accept that, I can feel some of the old ideas falling away. The ideas I'm never quite good enough. I never do quite enough. I am not worthy. And as I let those old ideas fall away, I replace them with the new belief, the new affirmation. Self, you are enough. You are worthy. Who you are is enough. What you do is enough. You, as well as your friend, your brother, your sister, are full, complete, and perfect. I can treasure my relationship with myself as I treasure my relationship with the brother, the sister, the friend. Today, maybe between the phone calls to the others, I take time for a session of conversation with myself, a conversation of listening deeply, of answering the questions, of affirming my value. And I remind myself of those words. Love your neighbor as yourself. And if I love my neighbor as myself, and I don't love and value myself, then my love for the neighbor or the brother or the sister is of little value. I might take time to journal some of the reasons I have for being able to love myself as I would love others. I might be able to write, today I opened my heart to myself and to others. My heart is big enough to love myself. It's big enough to love my brother, my sister, my friend. It is big enough to love humanity, to love the creatures that we share this planet with, to love the earth itself, the inner and the outer, the mantle, the clothing of the earth, and the fire within. As I value each beautiful human body and the fire, the spark within each one, the spark of the divine. I love the divine of myself. I love the divine of you, of every being. Because the divine of it all is that which I call God, universal mind and spirit, the allness, the wholeness, the vastness, the original I am. And the I am of me is whole, complete, and perfect. The I am that is God in expression is superb, and it is the spiritual truth at the center of my being. And today I fan that spark into a little flame, into a larger flame, and I let that light and that warmth flow out from the center of my being, through my body, through my skin, through my mouth and my eyes and my ears, through my fingers and my toes, into a larger way of living, a larger way of experiencing, a larger way of being. For that which is divine is centered everywhere, circumferenced nowhere. It is a one thing, a wholeness, an allness. And I surrender to that, to the allness, to the wholeness, to the one I am, of which I am an echo. The ocean in which I am a wave. The ocean expressed as a wave. The I am expressed as an individual. And as I honor that same I am wherever I look, whatever pair of eyes I look into. I honor my brothers and my sisters around this globe, and I know that truly we are one. For after all, there is only one I am. And it could be said of every being and to every being, I am that which thou art. Thou art that which I am. I am that which thou art. Thou art that which I am. And I speak this within myself to every being on this planet, to the spirit, the soul of each one that has gone before, each one that is yet to come, each one that is present in what we call this life. I am that which thou art. Thou art that which I am, and I enfold it, and I hold that within my heart as wholeness and allness and life and love, and so it is. And I'll call on Reverend Tress now to come and do the opening of our service. Reverend Tress.
Thank you, Reverend Judy. That was wonderful. very calming. Beautiful way to start the day. Today is Sunday, May the 30th, and welcome everyone who's here and welcome those who are joining us online. So we are doing our celebration service, and our theme for May is Holy, Holy Uprising. And for the children, we speak about unity. People of different countries and colors and sexes and religions were all created by God, divine mind. When we do not practice unity, differences may scare people and drive us apart. With unity, we help each other listen to each other and enjoy learning about different ways of being. Others feel warm and safe around us. So the affirmation is, everyone is important in the great family of the universe. So if you want to repeat with me, everyone is important in the great family of the universe. And now our opening affirmation, it's on your pink sheet at the top. If you will please join with me. I plant new seeds in my garden of life. The seeds are those of loving relationships, radiant health, prosperity, and creativity. I dig out the weeds of anxiety, limitation, and fear so that the good can grow and bear fruit. Thoughts are the seeds, and I am the thinker. I do the planting, and I reap the harvest. I tend my garden with wisdom, and so it is. And now, Reverend Judy, we get to hear her speak about Upon These Shoulders. Reverend Judy.
I think I'm live. Well, good morning. It's so wonderful to see you. It's so wonderful to see as you would see through the lens of the camera. I'm hoping that I can see you spiritually from the other end of the camera and know that you are with us in the spirit, that your spirit, your love makes all of the difference in our Sunday mornings and the nature of our service. So to begin, let's do an opening treatment. So please know with me the good of this day, this very special day, this day that is the only day we have right now. And for myself, I choose to fill it with joyful things, joyful thoughts, joyful connections, joyful, loving behaviors. And surprise, I choose to practice those joyful, loving behaviors with myself, as well as with my partner, my family, my friends, my world. Loving, joyful thoughts make a loving, joyful day, and that is what I choose, and I invite you to choose that for yourself as well, and so it is. So today's talk, really, I've got two different titles, but we'll start with On These Shoulders. And that's partially because our home office comes out with some themes that they suggest we talk about, and they're not always suitable for Canada, but we adjust. So on these shoulders, they're talking about those who have gone before us. They're talking about those who have departed this planet and suggesting that we name them and remember them and somewhat bring them to life by saying their names. And this is kind of what a lot of our cultures or the more Spanish-based cultures anyway, do at the end of October, the beginning of November with their Day of the Dead. They have October 31 and they do Halloween. The following day, November 1, is a day for children for treats and games and play. And November 2nd is the Day of the Dead, or All Saints' Day, or All Souls' Day. And on that day, they invite the spirits of their departed ones to join them, and they feast and they play and they celebrate those people, and they say their names. And I want to start with some of the names that we're familiar with. The man Jesus, Buddha, Krishna, many of the spiritual leaders of all times. Not just those two, but many others. And some of our new thought leaders, those upon whose shoulders we stand and our teaching stands. A few of them are Phineas Parkhurst Quimby, Judge Thomas Troward, Mary Baker Eddy, Ralph Waldo Trine, Ralph Waldo Emerson, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, Emmett Fox, Emma Curtis Hopkins. Say their names and honor them. I speak their names, and as I do so, I honor them and the legacy that they have left. On these shoulders we stand. And in our own congregation, there are those who have left us. I say their names. Jim Moore, Ursula Poitras, Mary Celine, Erica Abel, Edna Schaefer, Eldon Woody and Shirley Woody, Connie Phelps, Jane Reese Cato, say their names. And Connie Phelps, not exactly a member of our Center for Spiritual Living Red Deer, but she is the wonderful lady who started the Center for Spiritual Living in Kenya. And in honor of her, I wear this dress, which is one of the things that she brought with her when she made her annual trip through, and she brought little souvenirs and things. When 2 years ago, well, a little more than 2 years, but when I was in the Cross Cancer Institute for my first chemo session, I wore this dress because I'd had recent surgery and I couldn't wear anything that was tight on my belly. And as I was walking down one of the hallways, one of the young attendants, I don't know if she was a nurse or an aide or what, but she ran up to me and she says, "You got that dress from Connie." And it turned out that Reverend Connie was in there the same day I was, and she was also having her first chemo treatment. So I say her name, Connie Phelps, and I honor what she has done. She too is one of our departed ones on whose shoulders we stand. And that Center for Spiritual Living in Kenya is still operating. Even though Connie passed, last summer, last fall? I forget the exact date. But we think about them, we say their names and bring them back to life in our minds and in our hearts. When I put this dress on, I can feel Connie's hug and her energy and the dedication she had to our teaching and to the work that she was doing and teaching these children and older ones that they have the very power of the divine to assist them in growing forward out of whatever limiting circumstance they might have been experiencing. I want to talk to the American version of this. They would be talking about the people whose lives have been lost through brutality, through police murder, through whatever things, and they would be naming some of those people. And in our own society in Canada, we don't have quite the same thing, but we have our own problems. We have our own Indigenous people that have suffered so much. And just recently, the bodies of 215 children found in Kamloops, buried with no names, no markers, no graves, that had been from a residential school. I would say their names. We don't have the exact names, but in my heart and my soul, I say their names and recognize them, that their lives too had purpose, had value, exactly as they were. And the same for all those Indigenous women who have gone missing, that no one knows their fate. And they too had families, mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters and children. I think their names. I say their names mentally, and I honor them and invite them in spirit to be with us today. And with that, I'm feeling goosebumps. But this, and now we go to our own ancestors, to our mothers and our fathers if they have passed, or if they're still alive. We embrace them in mind, in spirit, and in body, if that's possible. And we speak their names. I speak my mother's name, Sadie Lillian Nelson Reggett. My father's name, John James Reggett. And I honor them and invite them, in whatever form they are in, to know that they are remembered and honored. I speak their names. So this is what it is about, is to remember from the beginning of time on this planet, the beginning of life, to honor all those who have gone before, and to know that in some way they still exist, that they can be called into our experience as we think them and know them in our mind, in our soul, in our heart. And we can take in all of them. We can speak their names, even if it is without the precise name we can put on them. We do it as a mental, spiritual exercise. And now, for today, I've got something that follows from this, from honoring our ancestors, from honoring every being that has been on the face of this earth, and now wherever they are in mind. We move to our present time, to ourselves, to our own state of being. And I had the fun Saturday nights, I watch a couple of British comedies on CBS, and one of them is As Time Goes By, is kind of my favorite. And in last night's show, do any of you watch that? No? Okay. Well, the main characters are a man and a woman who are probably 55 to 60. She has a daughter that must be in her early 30s, so I'm saying around 55, 60. And that is Jean and her partner. They're not yet married, but it's Lionel. And he has a father who's a bit of a kook, who's in his 80s. He's being diagnosed with a cancer that is going to be terminal sometime, whenever. And the father is called Rocky, and he has, well, a girlfriend whom he has since married named Madge, who is from the US and drives this big honking pink Cadillac or whatever with a steer head on the front, a skull and the big horns. And they have a favorite saying, and it's rock on. And in this particular episode, Lionel and Jean are called to the hospital. Rocky and Madge are there suffering from whiplash. And when they inquire about how come they didn't get it treated, in the US where they'd been whitewater rafting on the Colorado, they said, well, it costs too much. So we came back here and we're okay. It's just whiplash. And Lionel is a bit of a sober side, and he starts instructing them in how they should behave at their age. They shouldn't be doing things like that. That their life might be cut short by some of the things they do, like riding a motorcycle all over Great Britain, blah, blah. Anyway, Rocky's response is, it's not the time that you have, it's what's in the time. And his response was, rock on. And so that is, to me, the most important part of today's message, is that we honor all who have gone before, and we know that our time is going to come too. And what will we have filled our time with? What will we have done that makes every last day exciting or joyous or peaceful or interesting? Or are we just filling time and waiting? Reverend Therese, could I get you to hand me a tissue? Thank you. So this is what I want to get to. Thank you. What are you doing to make today interesting or exciting or purposeful? What am I doing to make today exciting, interesting, and purposeful? Well, I guess this afternoon I'll watch the fourth round of the golf tournament and see how the Canadian Adam Hadwin does, and Jordan Spieth, who's one of my favorites, and who's making a comeback. But aside from that, as came out in my meditation, and I never know what's going to come out in my meditation, but I guess I'm going to phone my brother at Qualicum Beach, who just turned 87 a couple of weeks ago, and my sister in Vernon, who just turned, well, in April as well, she turned 83. I'm the young one in the family at only 81. So I'm going to phone them and have a really wonderful conversation with them, not a conversation of what I did yesterday or the day before, or what Norris's children are doing now in the early 30s, or not about stuff, but heart to heart, how we really are inside. And my brother, he and I, when we get on the phone, which is only maybe once every few months, but we have a really good talk and we recall a lot of things from our childhood. We really connect really well. I have a little harder time with my sister, but I could still do it. And if I have the intention to make it a deep and meaningful and a heart-to-heart conversation, then it will be that. So how are we honoring the people who are in our lives right now and who might not be tomorrow, when we might remember, I'll speak their names. I would rather be able to talk to them today, or hug them, or find out exactly how they're feeling today, what their thoughts are, what their desires are, what they are doing that makes them feel alive. By the way, my sister at 83 is an avid gardener, and she spends up to 10 hours a day in her garden at this time of year. My brother is a musician, and he has one of his daughters is also a musician, and they talk and they still do some music together. So that's his joy in life. So maybe it's time that we reached out to a friend who doesn't live in Red Deer. We can't meet for coffee, but we can meet in a video chat. I can call Susan O'Connor, and say, "Hi, Susan, your new grandbaby looks wonderful. the post on Facebook, you look radiant, you look beautiful, you're in love with him already and he's only 1 day old. I can have those conversations and I can speak from the heart. Not what have you been doing, but how are you doing? How are you being today? Wouldn't that be nice if we said, instead of how are you, say, how are you being today? So we really mean it. We want to know how someone is being and whether there is anything that I can do that might improve that quality of beingness. So that's the big one. There's a man named Howard Thurman who is also one on whose shoulders we stand. And he said, don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and go do it. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. So what makes you come alive? For me, talking science of mind, teaching science of mind, or we can call it New Thought. It's not just one organization, it's many organizations that teach New Thought, but teaching the ideas of New Thought brings me fully alive. Ask Gordon that when I am with Gordon and Lou on Thursday afternoons, as we're into the final stretches of their practitioner training, that the work we do together makes me feel fully alive, as though I were a mere 79 instead of 81, or 70 or 50 or 25. The enthusiasm is there, the joy is there, and it isn't limited by the fact that my hips are a bit stiff or I have a little trouble bending over and getting up sometimes. What makes you feel fully alive? What brings that feeling for you? Go do it if you possibly can. Maybe it can only be as a hobby, but do what you can to become fully alive, because only as you do that can you give what you are to our world, to give back to life what life has given you. That is, here I am, I'm still learning about that. And I figure I've got 20 years worth of learning I still need to do before I am fully alive, awake, and aware. And that's my goal today as I develop this talk, which, by the way, got totally changed after I watched that show last night. It's not about the time, it's about what's in the time. Another quotation, and this was from the original material, that I quite like this. All that you touch, you change. All that you change changes you. The only lasting truth is change. God is change. So imagine that. All that you touch, you change. So every relationship you have, you are changing the person you're in relationship with, and they are changing you. Every thought you have is changing you. And the only lasting truth is change. So what can we change today to make our life more full, more vibrant, more alive? How can we make it fully alive and joyous and whole, so that we're not just filling time through our Sunday afternoon? I know I've got something more here. I've got another quotation I'm going to use, and this one is from my father, who was he finished his working life as a heavy-duty mechanic, but he could do anything. When he was in his 60s, he dug a basement under our little back porch and made himself a little workshop. And that wasn't digging dirt, that was digging riverbed that was all stone. And every morning before he left for work, and he left around 6:30, he would take a couple of wheelbarrows full of stone out of that space under the back porch, which was a room maybe 10 by 10, and empty it out. And by the time he retired, he had a beautiful little shop. He made the framing, he put the rocks in the framing, he mixed the concrete and poured it, he made his workbench. He could do nearly anything. He could build cupboards and put good doors on them. He could make silver rings out of dimes for little girls by taking a dime and poking a hole in it, putting it in his vise and pounding on it until every little girl in the neighborhood had one of my dad's rings. By the way, very illegal. It's defacing the currency. But that was my father. And he had a saying that I would ask you to remember. His saying was, "What man can do, Reggett can do." And that, that is the biggest thing I remember about him. He didn't know there was such a thing as something he couldn't do in terms of practical life. And when he was in his 80s, his light reading was encyclopedias. And he had left school when he was in grade 5. But he was an avid reader and a very intelligent man. He just didn't have a lot of school education. But that didn't change the fact that he was brilliant, and he put life into the time he had. He was, at 92, he was still living in a walk-up apartment. And he wound up in the hospital for a urinary tract infection. And during the night, he saw a light in the hall, and being Mr. Fix-It, he figured he had to get up and go turn that light out. And as he was doing that, or getting back to bed, whatever, he fell and he broke a hip. And he wound up dying during the surgery to repair that, which probably was a blessing, because his days of that walk-up apartment were probably about done. And if he'd gone into a nursing home, they probably would have had to restrain him because he wouldn't stand for it. He was that kind of a being. But so who do you have in life whose name you need to speak? Speak their names. Bring them back to life in your mind, in your heart. Speak the names mentally of those children whose bodies have been found in Kamloops, and the names of the other children who went through that residential school system. Speak the names of those in our society who have been disadvantaged in some way. Speak the names of those that you would honor. And as we honor not only our own ancestors, but all ancestors, period, from the very beginning, whether you want to call the first man Adam or Groucho or whatever, what are the Flintstones' names, Barney, Rubble. Honor them. Honor life the way it is, and see what you can do to make your life fulfilling and active and joyous and bright and wonderful. So, I know I have something more here I wanted to say. Must be on this page. My last paragraph that I wrote said, "What is it time for me to do, that I might have life and have it more abundantly?" From John 10:10, I have come that they might have life and have it more abundantly. I've done the whitewater rafting and the hang gliding, so what makes me come alive? Do it. What makes you come alive? Do it. And I've got an affirmation that is really a combination of 3 little affirmations that I will ask you to repeat after me, if you will. Today, I affirm that I am willing to be fully alive, awake, and aware. Today I affirm that I am willing to be fully alive, awake, and aware. I do enter into the life more abundant. I do enter into the life more abundant. I follow my bliss. I follow my bliss. Rock on, and so it is.